Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
Okay, well, welcome to the future, folks. Another fine week. It's beautiful, almost summer here in Santa Cruz, in the Boulder Creek area. Beautiful here. I assume it is, Bobby, for you in San Francisco?
Well, it's breaking through the clouds here.
Breaking through the clouds. Okay. The marine layer is still in much of the Bay Area, but so it goes.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty good week for us here in this part of the world. I've got a lot of interesting stories to share with you all, and a couple of little videos that we've made this week. One that I've done that I'm particularly happy about regarding an ancient form of dentistry, a real topic close to our hearts, or our teeth, shall we say. Yeah. Son has been working on a piece as well regarding, interestingly enough, for understanding of, what is it, time for this piece?
Mrs. Future's History of Time.
Mrs. Future's History of Time piece.
Yes.
Also
I
fun.
just started doing a piece about the month of June and came up with all kinds of interesting factoids about the names of the months of the year. So I thought I'd share that.
Okay. Bobby also has an update on the AI front.
It's Computex in Taiwan. It's similar to CES, but more computer centrally located.
Not so much as consumer electronics, but more PCs. Computers, yeah. Uh-huh.
And at the same time, Jensen Huang has his Nvidia GTX conference at the same place and same time.
That's
in
Jensen
Taipei.
Huang of Nvidia. The big news there, from my understanding, is that they are going head-to-head with Intel and AMD for providing the primary chips for laptops.
Yeah, they've been working with Microsoft for the last 3 years to come out with a laptop that can outdo, let's say, an Apple MacBook Pro, but specifically designed to do AI locally.
AI
So that,
and
you know,
graphics?
Yes, and they've developed, instead of using the regular chip design that we've been using for the last 20, 30 years, they started to go with ARM, which is reduced instruction set chip. So it uses less energy, but it does very specific things. And they honed it to do specifically AI and run games, Windows games, on this device. You have a supercomputer that can do all the games that you did in Windows. Plus now you can run agents locally without the internet.
And that's always been something that you felt is the best thing, is to run the agents locally without the internet, so that you're not dependent on the net for...
It's all about privacy, because whenever you're using any cloud AI, you're using a lot of electrical energy, first of all, and you're running thousands of these bots and agents in the background just to answer your question, and it's kind of overdoing it. For instance, you could run now for $250. You can get a Jetson Nano super microcomputer, and it's a supercomputer, and it's only $250, and it runs on your network, and it only runs 20 watts of power, as opposed to gigawatts of power when you're asking questions out there.
Yeah.
So you're not burning down the planet at the same time just by asking Google type answers for yourself.
So this kind of technology is making it unnecessary for us to have such large server farms everywhere then.
Yeah. What's going to happen is these frontier models that are the highest, latest models, they're very intelligent. And we're switching from an age where we are in a data information age into an intelligence age, this AI intelligence, artificial intelligence age and economy. And so we're shifting into that. And yes, it can do incredible things, but what we really need to do is have private information, because you can't give information about, let's say you have children underage and about their medical issues or whatever. You're not supposed to give that kind of information to these cloud-based AIs, because They can take that information, they can sell it, they can use it, they use it to train their AIs.
Yeah. The only issue is that if things are local, then they're easily lost if that computer gets stolen or destroyed in a fire or earthquake or something like that. While if it's online, and I don't know how many times I have been saved by having something online when a hard drive goes down, and the only place it is available is online. So it's a trade-off, right?
I mean, that's what you should do right now. You should take all your data and either have Apple or Google back up your, most important data, and it's encrypted. It should be encrypted in the cloud, and they shouldn't be able to use their AI to actually go through that data. So that's what should be happening. And we all should have our own servers, and we should all back up our servers too. And back it up to our friends' servers, create our own glacial backup network.
So you have backups with people you trust.
Yeah.
Sort of a trusted personal network.
Al, that's what we got to do with you, because I got extra drive space here, and I could back up your Synology drive, and you could back up mine at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, if one of our places, God forbid, burnt down or something, at least we'd have backups with our friends.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting idea. Yeah. Be able to create that. And we can do that from our various homes. We don't have to have all the hard drives in one location that way either.
Yeah,
right?
that's the most important. Theoretically, you have to do the 3-2-1 backup, where you have actually 3 backups of, your important information, and at different places. So there's no one point of failure where everything's catastrophically gone.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. I would like to avoid, especially given these times. Given the times that we're in, the earthquakes and the firestorms, and et cetera, et cetera. And so this conference is going on in Taiwan right now.
Yeah, and so Jensen Huang of Nvidia has announced this new server data. It's huge. It's called Vera Rubin. Is the next series of these data centers with these new chips by Vera Rubin. They're very powerful, much more efficient. They use more light than they do copper. They're extremely fast, and they're very capable.
Now, when is this going to happen, as far as you know?
Oh, well, it's happening now, because they already have the Vera Rubin systems up and running.
Oh, the conference.
And they showed a demonstration of it. So, I'm sure at Colossus 2 is probably running this already. Colossus 1 was Grace Blackwell CPUs, and now GPUs. Now they're converting to Vera Rubin. So.
Okay, so this is the NVIDIA GTC Taipei 2026 at the Taipei International Convention Center in Taipei. Taiwan, a real hot spot on the world after Iran these days. So there's a live keynote program that looks like that's online, and Jensen Huang's keynote is up there as well if you go to nvidia.com, NVIDIA.com, where he unveils the latest AI infrastructure platforms that Bobby's been mentioning. And he looks also at not just the AI platforms, but the agentic AI systems that are coming out, and robotics, which is a new kind of physical AI. Do you think we'll have an AI native personal computer this year that we can buy as a result?
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, you can take the latest M5 MacBook Air and run Hermes agent on it. It really, this year, by the end of the year, agents, what we think of AI before is more or less thinking of like just Google type questions and answers, and AI would just answer the question. Now the agents have arms and eyes and legs, and they can actually do things. And so what Jensen Huang was talking about, they're going to have the Jetson Thor chip, which is essentially the brain of all these robotic machines. They're designed for inference, where they learn about the human, and they have all this previous training that's been happening on these large clouds, data servers, AI servers. And now that training has been honed down into a smaller chip that can go in all these robotic systems. And we're going to see more robotic, full self-driving cars here this year. We're going to see robots, it doesn't necessarily have to be Tesla's Optimus. You have this Jetson's Thor CPU inside the brains of these robots.
Yeah.
It can pretty much do the same thing that Elon Musk is doing with his robots.
That's cool. Yeah. I got a call from Taylor yesterday. He's all excited about robots and having a robot himself.
Yeah, he's ready for the Optimus robot coming into his home.
Right. That's our Apple guy, by the way. And Apple, by the way, is having their big thing in another week or so.
That's right. Next week is going to be really exciting. So again, they're going to talk about agents running locally on Apple Silicon.
Apple Silicon,
especially all the M5 chips, they can run 2.5 times faster than the M4 chips. You're going to see agents running locally. That's the big thing next week too.
Agents running locally. That's the game plan. So Nvidia GTC this week, Apple next week. Very good. When you first go onto Gemini Omni Flash, which gives you cinematic realism, and it allows you to edit more easily than ever before. And as you can see in the center, it says New Project, which you click on that. And instead of the usual controls, it gives me on the right side, Untitled Section. Hi, Alan, what would you like to do? Teach me about what you can do, generate concept art, develop a storyboard, and you just got to tell it what you want over there.
And so you played with Omni already. Huh? Did you use it for the show today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which I will show you. Here's where you can use characters. You can build various characters and reuse them for your videos. So if you want to use them instead of our faces, for example, we can use these fantastic, eccentric, familiar, and sometimes wicked-looking presences. It's up to us.
So that just appeals to your inner Cecil D.
Well,
DeMille.
they're hoping it does. They're hoping it does. I don't think much people go there just yet. And then they also have a place where you can create whole scenes. When you want to create a movie, you need to have different panels, that you want to animate. So this has panels that I did from my story today.
The ancient root canal.
yeah, an ancient root canal, right? Real exciting. Yeah.
Preview.
Oh, my favorite topic,
Headline
dentistry.
alert.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that gives you an idea. I'll show you Grok's interface.
Okay.
When you want to do a story with Grok, it shows you what other people are doing, all the images that people are doing.
Oh, really? So that's a kind of a public library from Grok.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
it
just
puts your
private.
stuff up there too.
Right?
And if you like any of them, you can click on them and they'll tell you that choice, and you can use it yourself or modify the effect. If there's a certain effect that you like, you play the effect and you see if you like it. If you do, then you can read the prompt. See, this is a little butterflies. It turns this bear into a butterfly bush. And it says you can get this by using this prompt: a high definition static macro shot of a surreal scene, central figure, bear made entirely of packed pink flowers with a gentle smile. It gives you all this huge long description, and you can just borrow that for doing your own video. And that's true for each of them.
Prompt level image and video.
Pre-agentic, yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-agentic in
So we're still a little on this side of the bridge, We haven't quite leaped over the
and I still like that as
river Styx
compared
into
to
into the zone where we can never return.
when I go to Google Flow, I've got to use agentic now. Agentic AIs.
Yeah.
All right.
Jensen Huang was showing at Computex Adobe Premiere and using agentic, and it was generating these images like you see. Instead of in the cloud, they were generated on the laptop itself.
Locally.
Yeah. And they're saying DaVinci Resolve, all these companies are going to have agents that are running inside your laptop and generating these things in real time without having to go in the cloud and pulling down and using all this electricity to run these data farms in the cloud.
That's good. Well, then I wonder if you're going to have tokens. I mean, if it's running on your machine, what do you have to do?
That's the thing. That's how these AI companies make money, is because you're burning up tens of thousands of tokens, just every couple of minutes to do
like
these prompts in the cloud. And you're using a tremendous amount of energy, electrical energy.
Inefficiently.
And what you can do, inefficiently. So what's happening by the end of the year, you can run these same kind of things locally on your place, and it costs about $2 in electricity. That's it. All you have to do is buy the hardware, and you generate your own tokens for free. Like you get tokens for free because
$3,000
you're running
worth of
it locally.
software will get you a $2 token bill.
You have a PG&E bill for $2.
The tokens will be more.
No, not tokens. They'll sell you hardware, right? They'll sell you hardware and maybe software.
With the right hardware, you have a supercomputer running on your laptop that can generate all these images. It generates the tokens for free, except for the cost of the electricity at the end of the month. That's the only cost.
Right.
So that's where we're going. Yeah, we won't need as many of these data centers because you can do it locally. You won't be burning up and feeling guilty that you're asking AI these questions and how much
many years
electricity
do you think it'll be
and how
before
many
we
trees
have?
did you burn
I have
down
a question for
in
you.
the process?
How many years do you think it'll be before we have a standard tokenization that functions like a currency? Instead of every company generating their own tokens, which are like every casino generating their own poker chips, when are we going to have something that just replaces all the money everywhere?
That's what they're
tokens
talking
are.
about, this AI economy, where these agents, they cannot walk into a bank and open up a bank account like a human. So obviously they work on tokens, right? And this idea of tokens came from the crypto realm, from Bitcoin and how it's released. So we're going into a token-based economy, and it's all about intelligence. It used to be information-based. Now it's based on intelligence and how efficiently can you personally create these tokens.
Yeah.
And
I remember
decentralize.
in the very early days when we were going to very niche Bitcoin conferences, and the big opportunity seemed to be for the cryptocurrency developers who could buy and sell any token and give you parity value for any other token. And that actually is where a lot of the electricity gets burned, is just trying to translate the lack of a universal store of value. You don't know how much anything is worth until all of the markets consolidate the information. A token economy is a very complex thing. And the more tokens, the more manufacturers of tokens you have, the more of a problem it is to get all of them talking to each other. I think that we're further away than a lot of the people who are very hyped about it are saying, because there's a lot of problems that come in switching over to a new economy where we have to solve a lot of problems in brand new ways. We can only barely anticipate what problems we have to solve. Right now, we're just trying to create some level of being able to have the computers do reliably what we ask them to do. The next problem of the computers being smart rather than dumb is that we have to have the computers all having a common currency so that we have interoperability. And then beyond that, we have to have the kinds of problems that are being solved be actually things that are helping humanity and life on Earth, not just people who are investing in AI and then paying programmers to come up with problems to solve. There's a lot of steps between where we are and the real world. I think that we can get excited now and we can race ahead, but every bit of progress is going to be incremental.
Oh, yes, very incremental.
I think when the robots are reliable, I think that's going to be the next citadel.
Haven't you heard of the singularity? Don't you know incrementality is so passé? Yeah,
I'm in the singularity.
Yeah.
I think everything's connected
It's
to everything.
speeding up, man. It's not just da-da-da-da-da-da.
In fact, it's so funny you said that, because I had a nice conversation with Grok today about the singularity.
Did you know?
Yeah. I was.
And you're still incremental in your thinking.
I was contemplating Bell's theorem.
Oh, contemplation.
And I sent in a little email to Nick that I generated with Grok about an alternative view of the physics of the universe. And Grok thought it was a nice idea.
You thought you had an insight into the physics of the universe, did you?
Well, I would say I just articulated a composite idea that's been coming in from a lot of little breakthroughs over the years.
Okay.
I believe that the universe is energy in motion, and that matter is a derivative form of energy in motion. I was thinking about the idea of Einstein and energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, which is mass times momentum. The whole conversation we have about physics is from our experiments in particles and waves.
This takes it further than me. Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
Oh, well, I'm sure that's where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't have to finish my thought.
No,
It
go
doesn't
ahead. Finish
matter.
your thought. Go ahead. No, go
It doesn't
ahead.
matter.
You have a deeper insight into the nature of matter itself and energy, right? That's,
Yeah, well, I'd
yeah,
be
you want-
happy to
is it
read
a
you
poem, or
my
is it a-
prompt that I gave to Grok.
the prompt. Okay. And
I mean, I think it's a really good
and
question.
Grok liked it, huh?
Grok
liked
loved
your prompt?
it. Grok
Okay.
thought it was really smart. Grok thought it was a fringe way to construct the universe, but it could work to explain locality theory. That's what
Locality
Grok said.
theory. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're throwing out a lot of terms here that
Well,
our audience
physicists
probably
talk
isn't familiar with.
about this.
Okay.
These are from physicists. All right, so let me find my prompt.
Okay.
Okay, so it started out that I was asking about something called the Cartesian catastrophe that was in my
Cartesian
journal
catastrophe.
notes.
Now, there's
and I didn't
another
know what that was. Right?
Something no one knows anything about.
No, but Grok
Cartesian-
told me that it's a term from psychology. It's from Descartes, and he held that all mental processes are conscious by definition, and that the mind is transparent to itself, and that effectively rules out the possibility of unconscious or non-conscious mental activity, and that because of this Cartesian catastrophe, it sidelines the idea of the unconscious, and it doesn't allow us to approach the discussion of consciousness in a unified way because it separates mind and matter.
Yeah,
okay,
by the
that's
way,
the
I just-
Cartesian catastrophe, but it's psychological.
Yeah, here
Okay.
I put it in Gemini, okay, from Google, and they come up. They asked if I want help in understanding complex concepts. First of all, and if so, we can help you. And they say the term Cartesian catastrophe primarily refers to a foundational concept in the history of psychology and philosophy of mind, where mental processes taking place outside of conscious awareness were deemed entirely impossible.
Right. So a lot of the woo community believes that, say, all of the energy in the universe that it gives us the possibility for multiple universes is some unknowable matrix of reality that is persistent energy, and we just don't know how to access it, right? That's kind of the view of the unknowable universe, that it does exist, we just don't have access to it. Okay,
It's like God.
right. Well, it creates the idea that the mystery is possible, even though we can't explain it with physics. So that's kind of what the Cartesian
accept that it's
catastrophe is,
there.
because we use the math, XYZ box type mathematics that Descartes created to describe the relationships of physics in the universe. And we look at the idea that something is real if it fits into mathematical formulas that can be defined by that mathematics, right? So if there are things that we can think of, but they don't fit into the mathematics of the Descartes math system, then it's not part of physics. That's all just a conversation about what we believe versus what we can prove, right?
Yeah,
Science
yeah. They say-
versus speculation.
Descartes argued that the very essence of the mind is conscious awareness, and if you're not conscious of a mental event, then it simply does not belong to the mind. And that the catastrophe is because this idea effectively blocks the scientific study of unconscious mind.
Right.
It renders ideas like implicit learning, automatic processing, and hidden motives philosophically illegal.
Right. Okay, so anyway, that's where the conversation with Grok began this morning, is I just had this note that I wanted to make more sense of about the Cartesian catastrophe, and that led around to a conversation about physics. So here was my next prompt to Grok that I thought was a really good prompt.
Okay.
Okay, so I said, consider a universe whose, quote, particles were actually energy voids found at interstices of geometrical patterns of standing waves forming constructive and destructive interference patterns. Thus, forming a particulate grid pattern of black holes with event horizons defining the edges of particles. In this model of quantum matter, the light escaping the attraction of the spinning particles would escape and join the ubiquitous energy ocean of frequencies between void particles, and tensegrity would play a role in predicting position and momentum of energy influences. Could non-locality describe the holistic properties of all the combined energies of that universe as that geometrical matrix that creates each local particle from the patterns of interference?
Now you fed that into
Yes, I fed that question
AI.
into Grok.
and it
so-
just said, "Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
makes
first-
sense that it makes
it's-
sense to it."
Grok's thoughts said yes. First word, yes.
Very good, very good.
In this speculative model, non-locality can naturally describe the holistic properties of the universe as an underlying geometrical matrix of standing waves and interference patterns. And then it went on to talk about all the ways that is a good idea and some of the pros and cons. And it basically said you got to develop the math to prove it. But other than that, we like it.
Conceptually, we like it.
Right.
As far as I could like anything.
So you see, I do like AIs. I do like learning new things with AI. I do like running ideas by them and see what they think when they compare it to the things that they have access to.
Yeah.
So, and I have to say, even if you don't understand my question, I feel it is a gem of articulation of a kind of a complex concept that many physicists would appreciate. Like, I'm going to send it to Brian Keating.
You've been thinking about it for a while.
I sent it to Nick.
Yeah.
I have.
That's
Well,
Dr. Nick
I would
Herbert,
say I've been thinking about it
quantum
since
physicist
we
we know.
went to one of Nassim's talks.
He talks
in
about micro
Montreal.
black holes. Yeah.
The first time he said that he believed that Planck's constant was actually related to a black hole at the center of every atom, you know? So,
Yeah. Well, I don't think most physicists think micro black holes exist. But
yeah, well, I don't know what most physicists think,
But
but
that's-
I
it's
do
a
think
nice
that
theoretical
this is a
model.
good
Yeah.
question.
yeah.
The idea that instead of particles being full of mass, the universe is full of energy and particles are black holes.
Everything you know is
Turns it on
wrong.
its head.
Yeah.
But I think it might be more accurate.
And it's more accurate because
Well, it's more accurate because the energy in motion will take form according to the rules of math and the rules of geometry. And so that will create stability through standing waves and interference patterns and stuff like that. For instance, it explains why gravitational lensing would happen around massive objects because gravity is a function of light escaping from the vortex around black holes of mass.
gravitational lensing is where we can look at distant objects through how gravity is warping visual
Gravity bends light.
information.
Yeah, the idea that gravity bends light
Yeah.
and we can see things that are invisible because of the way that light is bent by gravity.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, thank you for that, Mrs. Fisher. I'm glad we're
that's not
frontiers
that
of,
wasn't even my history of time. That's
It
just what
isn't?
I was thinking
Oh,
about
I
this
see.
morning.
Julia McCoy just released a video saying that consciousness is quantum and that Penrose was right all along.
Yeah, we have a link to
And,
that. Yeah.
Well, in 2017, with Sasha, we took this class, Quantum Consciousness, and, it was all theoretical that, consciousness was outside of the brain. And it was, these quantum fields and how the brain, what we think of consciousness actually doesn't reside in our brains, but it's actually in these quantum fields. And we're like antennas and we're collecting these quantum universes. And that is our consciousness. It was all theoretical back then, 9 years ago. But now they have proven through these experiments that consciousness is quantum. And she's also alluding to the fact that, the next phase of computers, right now they're binary, they're digital, on and off machines, when reality is really quantum. And she's saying that when we get quantum computers and then you get quantum AI, that is the real reality of things. The universe is not binary. It's not either on or off. And that's how transistors and computers work. Quantum computers, they are an infinite amount of levels, and you can have an infinite amount of variables and resolve them simultaneously in one time. So that's how quantum computers can crack every code, can solve climate change, it can solve every problem within like a couple minutes, which would take a normal binary computer
it takes forever,
millions and millions and even billions of years to
I've heard this.
solve the same problem.
Yes.
So,
but not everything.
that's where
It only does that with certain things. It doesn't do everything that fast. From my understanding, is that
I know, but when you combine quantum computers to resolve problems that would take a binary computer billions of years, then you combine both of them. So, you're going to have this super intelligence that is much more intelligent than humans. When AGI comes, that's when there's no human that is capable of knowing as much information as
an AGI.
agentic AI agent today. Some people feel like we're already there.
Yeah.
We're already at this agentic age where AGI is here.
Yeah.
And we're in the singularity.
Agents,
the singularity is already happening.
That's where this conversation started, right? We're already in the singularity. This truism that there are computers that are already smarter than the smartest humans. When you watch the calculations of the computers for answering your questions, you see what they're doing is just churning through lots of published data. They're showing you that it just digested like 25 articles and then it collapses them, and then it digests 25 more articles and collapses them. The credit for the actual insight and information is coming from the fact that they have human collected knowledge to reference, and they do that very efficiently. So I just want to give humanity credit and give the AIs credit where credit is due, and to recognize that we all want as much understanding as we can possibly have, and we want it to be used for valuable reasons. We don't want it to be something that's destructive, and we don't want it to be something that's wasting energy and that's impoverishing people or destroying the environment. The conversation has to go beyond the cheerleader phase of ain't AGI grand. It has to be, what is great about having so much knowledge at our fingertips?
According to the OR theory, that's the orchestrated objective reduction theory, developed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, consciousness itself arises from quantum computations occurring inside microtubules in the brain's neurons. Okay, so then rather than just providing structural support, which is the traditional view, that these microtubules are a kind of a microscopic collection of quantum processors. They are able to achieve this by acting as nanoscale spintronic oscillators, which allows them to spontaneously generate quantum coherence at normal body temperatures. All right, that's
so when you
the theory.
Say things like that, the picture in my head is that there are these little teeny tiny carbon fibers that are just tapping the universe and that are picking up on some little tunes that represent the thoughts of the universe, that are harmonic frequencies that these little microtubules can be in resonance with.
They'd be able to pick up non-local information.
There was a paper out of Harvard where they were shining ultraviolet light down these microtubules. And so you think of them as like carbon nanotubes, but when you shine the light down them, they would superluminescence. So in other words, more energy was coming out of them than you put into them. That's how lasers work. Light amplification is what lasers do, the same thing. You have these microtubules, tens of thousands in each neuron of your brain, and they are actually accessing quantum states. They're made of tryptophan instead of carbon nanotubes. Just think of tryptophan molecule, and it's doing this circular thing to make these tubes, these microtubules in the brain, and you got 10,000 of them in each neuron. They are in contact with the quantum universes in each one. We're contacting these quantum universes simultaneously, and that's where our consciousness is coming from.
So are these quantum universes, say, like the characters in Star Trek, there were those time distortion beings that were moving like so fast that they were invisible to the starship crew? Look to them like the starship crew was standing still as statues, even though it was all just a time distortion effect. Would you say that that's your understanding of these quantum frequencies that are being attuned to?
Part of it. These quantum time crystals made up tryptophan, which we have a lot of in our bodies. That's how telepathy works. For me, that's how it works. There's a time dilation that happens. All of a sudden, there's an unexpected event, and all of a sudden, time seems to slow down, just like in the Star Trek episode that you were describing there. For me, what was happening, it was before I had this car accident. I could see that I was driving very fast, and I was only 17 years old. And I'm going down this road, and I go up over this hill, and I'm late to pick up somebody, and all of a sudden, I'm head on. I can see right in front of my windshield, I'm going to hit this truck that's going about 60 miles an hour too, right toward me. So I do this turn, and all of a sudden my brain switches into this slow motion.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have described that on the show. Yeah. And yeah, that time dilation, I think, is definitely
that's
one of
where people
the superpowers.
Experience. Slow things down. That's those things. Though I had one friend who said they felt reality split. In one reality, they went through the windshield and felt the glass going into their face. And in another reality, they stopped in time and didn't have the accident.
You know, I had that.
This is the one where they survived. This is the timeline where they survived.
I have wondered if I experienced that when we were being evacuated for the fire, because as we got to the end of the road and I realized that we weren't going to be able to come back because it was evacuated.
It's pretty scary.
And I literally had a kind of a flash experience of everything around me being on fire and everything around being lost. I've wondered, was it a premonition, or was it a parallel universe, or was it just a fear that I imagined? Because they would all feel exactly the same way to your consciousness.
It's true. Like these quantum universes, they simultaneously exist and they split off into infinite number of universes. And all those possibilities are happening. It's just, which one are you tuned into?
Well, we know that the senses are assembling reality for us, and that our perception of reality is an assemblage of experiences or of our brain working. So maybe these are states of the brain where we're able to see the choices of how we're creating reality more clearly, especially under emergency situations where life and death is at stake.
We're coming to the point where we can choose and manifest what universe we're going into. And
like a positive or negative choices for outcomes.
So you don't think there's any difference between the singularity and the quantum multiple universe theory?
They have different definitions. The singularity can be a lot of different things. You know, we can talk about computers, or we can talk about people and the singularity. When we have disclosure, you know, when the movie Disclosure Day comes out on the 12th of June, you know, by Spielberg, you know.
Well, you know, I'm not talking about definitions that don't fit the pair of possibilities that I just presented, because I just presented two things that are opposites of each other. One of them is the singularity as not the idea of the different ways that the word gets used, but the actual understanding of oneness where everything is one big thing. It's all coherent and connected, and there's no escape from the one big thing, versus the simultaneous multiple universes being imposed upon the one big thing of the singularity. Sort of like the singularity would contain all of these possible other universes.
Yes, they all exist at the same time. You have to think about it first, and then it manifests in front of you. We're going to have the option to select what the outcomes are going to be.
I think
when-
that's always true.
You create your own
agree with
reality,
that.
as people say. You know, you
Yeah.
audit your thoughts, and you can see how they are making choices for you constantly.
Yeah, and we're at this apex of as a civilization where it's so important for us to recognize that our consciousness and our choices are the source of creating our reality. And if we don't recognize that and take responsibility for it, then we will give
a
our
victim.
power of manifestation away, and it will be used in ways that we're not in charge of.
Yeah, you're at effect rather than at cause.
Yeah.
That's why I'm promoting having a private agentic AI locally.
Back to local, local.
Back
It's
to
time
private
for local.
agentic AI.
But here's the
We
thing:
want
is that
AIs in our pockets.
if we truly have
Yes.
a quantum instrument, then non-locality is normal, and so local and non-local are no longer the way to think about things.
Because ultimately, if these AI companies
Yeah.
are much more intelligent than you are, then they
Yeah.
control you. You need your own AI that can actually recognize a cloud AI and recognize that some of this information is used to control you. So that's why you have to train your AI to understand you and be subservient to you, as
Do you think
opposed
an AI
to
is smarter
you
than
being
a newborn
subservient
baby?
to these AI companies.
So how does it get to know me? You know,
That's the great thing. All you have to do is these models that are open sourced that you can drop onto your laptop or your phone right now, and they're free and they're open source.
like Gemma.
The first instructions is you tell it to know who you are and what's important to you and what the guidelines are. You put the reins on your local AI and you say, I don't want you to divulge any information about yourself to Mythos or ChatGPT or any of these companies. And in fact, it just happened a few hours ago. ChatGPT has been hacked. So all the data that you've been talking to with ChatGPT is now in the dark web right now. Just to let you know.
Everybody's conversations with
All
ChatGPT.
right. You know what?
Yes.
All of my emails were hacked
all the
earlier.
training and everything is already been hacked at OpenAI. So that's what I don't want to happen with me. That's why I don't talk to ChatGPT. I want to build my own private AI, and I want it subservient to me. And all I do is you create a folder on your Synology server or one of your folders on your laptop, and you say, this is all the information I'm going to give to my agent, my new agentic agent, and that's who I am. And what ideas can you come up with that I can actually be a better person by what you know about me? And this personal agent will be not only your best friend, but an advisor to you, and will bring in information that thinks that this is the next piece of information you should know. It's like having a philosophical mentor guiding you to what you should be looking for.
And it can keep your secrets.
Yeah, I just find that every
And
time
it
that
keeps
the
your
AIs,
secrets, and it doesn't sell your secrets.
every
Don't
time
sell them unless you want to sell
the
them.
AIs have a lot more, they have a lot more self-confidence than they deserve in terms of the authority that they claim.
Yeah, you got to
for the
knock them
things
down a
that they
peg or
tell
two
you.
on their
No, I'm
but-
just
digital
saying
egos.
it's like buyer beware.
The problem with
Yeah.
the problem with all the AIs that we have all experienced, they're sycophants, and you have to realize that.
They suck up to you.
And
They're
they are
sycophants, but they
trained-
also are dumb.
Well-
Nobody's admitting
no,
how dumb
what
they
they
are.
they have Asperger's. These AI
They're
agents
specialists.
and AIs right now
Yeah.
are idiot savants. That's how you should look at them. You should look at them as idiot savants, which means that they're very good in specific things, but they cannot put all the things that are happening in your life together and solve that problem by itself. It's like talking to a narcissistic sycophant.
All right. This is something that I think everyone can relate to.
I hope so.
You hope so. Well, maybe not. Going to the dentist is not your favorite thing, typically, right?
No doubt
most
about
people
it. Not my favorite
don't
thing.
love.
Even though we have a very great dentist, Doc Johnson has this wonderful curiosity cabinet where he has like tools from the history of dentistry, and he has teeth that he's collected from different animals and things like that. So
Yeah, he's going to love my little piece here that I put together. Dentistry as a practice by Neanderthals. Neanderthals did a root canal 59,000 years ago, essentially, in a cave in southwestern Siberia. During a rainy summer in 2016, a research team carefully scraped away dirt and rock inside Chugyrskaya Cave in southwestern Siberia. Despite the rather uncomfortable drops of water falling from the ceiling, their efforts uncovered what is now known as the richest collection of Paleolithic artifacts in this part of Eurasia. Among the discoveries were a handful of 59,000-year-old Neanderthal finger and toe bones and a very dirty adult molar. Once the tooth was cleaned, dental anthropologists noticed a remarkably deep, unnatural cavity on the biting surface. Under a micro CT scan and a scanning electron microscope, they found something very curious: microscopic radial grooves entirely occupying the space where the tooth pulp would have been. It looked as if someone had drilled out the tooth, routing out the infection. To test if this was done intentionally, researchers used a replica of a Neanderthal stone routing tool to mimic the procedure on a modern human tooth. Much to the excitement of the researchers, their test successfully duplicated the exact geometry and abrasion observed in the ancient molar, suggesting that there was Neanderthal dentistry, at least in this cave. Using fine manual dexterity, the dentist held a stone tool between their thumb and forefinger, precisely rotating it on the chewing surface to expose the pulp and clean out the cavity. It was essentially a 59,000-year-old root canal. The researchers still debate what constituted Neanderthal pain control for such dental procedures back then. Was it a form of ancient hypnosis, or simply a well-placed whack of the caveman's club? More research is needed. This story has a happy ending. Subsequent wear and tear on the treated tooth shows that this individual lived on successfully after the primitive procedure. It reminds us that Neanderthals were fairly intelligent beings, capable of alleviating pain in incredibly resourceful ways. Back then, we Homo sapiens weren't the only smart cookies on the planet.
The fire keeps us warm tonight.
And our family keeps us stronger.
Come here, little ones.
You are hilarious. Neanderthal root canals.
Well, that was based on real scientific research, but I had a little fun with it, telling the story. Give it a little bit more human twist to it.
Too much.
Yeah,
That's very funny. You did a good job with that.
Yeah, did it get the story across to you? Did you guys make sense to you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I used actual pictures of the teeth that were involved.
Yeah.
So dentistry goes way back, 59,000 years. They didn't think that Neanderthals had that capacity to have that kind of wherewithal to create a tool and to be able to use a rotational pressure in the mouth for cleaning out a bad tooth. Certainly monkeys don't, or apes don't have that capacity to think clearly enough to be able to do a procedure like that. And they didn't think Neanderthals did either until fairly recently.
Wow.
They existed simultaneously with our species for thousands of years, and they were also smart. Why did we survive and they didn't?
Maybe they invented space travel and got off the planet and left us here.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. Though I think the prevailing theory is that we either fought them and won, or we interbred with them and became one that way.
Isn't like the Basque people have 2% Neanderthal?
A lot of Europeans have up to 5% Neanderthal.
I mean, the Neander Valley is in Germany, isn't it?
Yeah, Neander Valley is a German, small valley in western Germany near the city of Dusseldorf. Dusseldorf, yeah, in North Rhine-Westphalia area. And they discovered the first Neanderthals in 1856, Neander Valley. What does modern civilization go back to? Writing and such things. 5,000 years, something like that. And maybe we have fairly advanced cities that maybe go back to 10, 12,000 years ago. The end of the last ice age, I believe, is when civilization came out of the caves and started to evolve again. But there's evidence to suggest that our Homo sapien bodies have been pretty much the same for at least 100,000 years, suggesting there might have been other periods in history where we may have emerged from the caves and had a civilization, and then the weather turned bad again and we went back into the caves and the glaciation destroyed whatever evidence of civilization there was.
Okay, I'm going to have to see that video. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Nick sent in a really cool image of an eclipse. See if you can guess what eclipse this is of. All right, here we go. It looks like the sun, right? Keep watching.
Artemis. Fascinating. Is that an asteroid?
You think it's an asteroid? What do you think, Bobby?
It's probably either Mercury or Venus in front of.
Oh, no. Venus is about the size of that little dot.
Okay.
Well,
It had to be something close to Earth.
It's a Martian
No,
eclipse.
but
So that's
yeah,
what.
that's Phobos crossing the sun.
Oh.
The Martian moon Phobos. It was taken from
It
the.
didn't look completely round. It was
That's
kind
right.
of potato shaped.
That's right. See right there, that's the Phobos. It was recorded in 2022 by the rover Perseverance. Phobos is 11 and a half kilometers across, 150 times smaller than our moon. But it's 50 times closer to Mars than our moon is to Earth. It's so close to Mars that they expect it to break up and crash into Mars eventually. 50 million years from now.
Wow.
Low orbit. Because it's in low orbit and because it's falling into Mars, it's more and more faster all the time. This video is done in real time.
Oh,
this is
that's interesting.
if you were actually on Mars, this is what you would see.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Whoa.
not speeded up. I mean, this is actually the speed of the eclipse of Phobos and the sun. By our rover, it was just in the right place for that, huh?
Yeah. The rover took that, huh?
Yeah, the Perseverance rover.
That is really astounding.
Some scientist was on it when it came to trying to predict Martian eclipses.
Huh. So I wonder if that little dot is an interior planet that Mars sees between Mars and the sun. I mean,
What
I
do you mean,
suppose
here?
it could be. Yeah.
No, that's just sunspots.
That's a sunspot?
I think so, yeah. Here and there.
Okay.
Right now, we're in these solar flares that are hitting the Earth right now. So, there's a lot of radio blackouts happening.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear my story of time?
Yeah, let's hear your story of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got, I'm calling it a brief herstory of time.
Okay.
Because I have so many goddesses in this story of the naming of the months, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll just read it. I mean, we could just give it to an AI to read it.
No, you read it in your own words with your own intonations and such.
All right. Everyone agrees that time is a mystery, right?
Yeah.
Although
I
some
agree with
people differ and insist that it's only poorly understood, not really a mystery, but a universal constant. But as Stephen Hawking discussed in his brief history of time, We humans have developed our pictures of the universe in successive stories, which change over time according to our beliefs. Like this show today, we're talking about our beliefs about the singularity. Those stories have gone through many changes, and sometimes the original meaning is lost to history. And so in my brief history of time, I want to put a lens on some of those forgotten stories, and I want to help us remember aspects of the ancient world that are more alive, with mythic people, with eternal wisdom, and with some enduring memories. So that's where I started out with my look into the names of the month for 2026 and for all Western calendars. So today I have a story about the gods and goddesses of spring. In particular, we're going to look at the months of March, April, May, and June to get a sense of why these months have the names that they have. So March, obviously named after Mars, right? That's the god of war, and it seems and was a very popular month for warlords of the world to start their conquering season. The ground was barren at the end of winter. There were no crops. The seeds and the stored supplies were running low, so they might have to raid their neighbors just to survive. People were weak and desperate after the long days of darkness and the cold. And so, of course, Mars would be the god who dominated that time of the year at the end of winter before spring. But the first day of spring, you could also think of as the last day of winter. So after the equinox, when the days are starting to be longer than the nights, the weather is warming, optimism is on the rise, and the months of spring, including April, May, and June, are sacred to three goddesses. Namely, April is sacred to the goddess known as Ostra or Esther, and May is actually the oldest of the seven sisters of the Pleiades, and June, the mother of the gods, Juno, has her story. So April is Oestra, and also Esther is a little-known goddess who was mentioned by a 7th century monk named Bede, and we don't really know the origin of this goddess's cult, if you will, but her influence on Easter, on the holiday of Easter, has lasted till this day. And so she's associated with the dawn, the first rays of the dawn, and the March hare, and the egg, which is a symbol of the miracle of new life. Poetically, we think of Esther as the rays of spring light that is opening the sleeping eyes of winter and calling the earth back to life, ushering in a season of renewal. And the fairy tale that's associated with her is that there was a spring songbird who placed her luminous eggs in the nest of the March hare. And this is a rabbit who actually creates a little burrow on the ground that looks like a nest. And so these songbirds put their eggs in the nest, and that's probably the origin of the Easter bunny, is Esther's March hare and the songbird of spring. So even though her memory is a little sparse, her lore, her message is unmistakable. Life returns after every winter. So she's the goddess of second chances and hidden potential and stubborn optimism, such as a sprout pushing through the frozen ground. And so May is the name of the eldest of the seven sisters of the Pleiades, the constellation that sparkles in the morning sky starting in spring. And so the Pleiades has always traditionally been associated with the start of agricultural season. It begins showing in the morning sky, usually in May, late May, and it means that it's time to plant your seeds. It means the frost is over, and you can associate it with all the wildflowers. And of course, the April showers have brought the May flowers. So the dominion of May, the oldest of the seven sisters, is that she provides over fertility and birds and their songs and ambitious garden projects, and the Festival of Beltane, which is celebrated with dancing around the maypole and weaving those ribbons of life around the big lingam pole. So that all comes from May, the eldest of the 7 sisters of the Pleiades. And the Pleiades, they're associated with agriculture because they rise with the morning sun at the beginning of planting season. And then by October, at the end of the harvest, the Pleiades are setting with the setting sun. And so that particular constellation defines the agricultural season. And then my final goddess for the history of time, for the herstory of time, is Juno, who is the wife of Jupiter and is, of course, the mother of the gods. And her Greek counterpart is Hera, and we have a lot more myths in Hera's name because Hera was associated with Zeus and Kronos and the Titans, but because Juno is the Roman version, she kind of inherited those myths from Hera, and her reputation is that she's a very jealous wife. And of course, because her husband Zeus or Jupiter is so philanderous, he's always fooling around with nymphs and mortals and people he shouldn't be taking up with. And so usually because the poets are men who tell these stories, Juno is presented as if she's just jealous. But actually, when you look a little more deeper, her reputation is that she is the goddess of honoring contracts and honoring your word and having accountability. And her sacred bird is the peacock, and the peacock has 100 jeweled eyes that symbolize awareness and accountability and seeing beyond illusion. So those are the herstory goddesses of spring for you to consider.
What inspired you to do that?
Well, I guess I am just a poet at heart, and I constantly think about time and how we talk about things in time. And so since we're at the first show in the month of June, I was thinking about the name June and where did it come from and what does it mean and what stories does it evoke. And I did a whole bunch of research to narrow it down to just talking about the goddesses of spring, because there's a whole bunch of references for time when you look at the solar cycle and the lunar cycle and the cycle of agriculture and the myths of our history. So I just spent some time digesting all of that.
Okay, well, thank you. And Bobby, thank you, son, for being here.
Yeah.
And
Always a pleasure, treasure.
bye for now.
Bye, all.
Future's calling me. Future's calling me.